We explained the impact of the Enlightenment on France. In France, being an Enlightenment philosopher was more dangerous than it was in England. French citizens did not have the rights the English had, and they didn't live under a monarchy with limits. Instead, they lived under an absolute monarch, and monarchs like Louis XIV, the Sun King, who passed taxes at will on the working class, launched global wars, and spent public funds on luxury for the nobility and the church. Under the belief in divine right, the monarchy was intolerant to those who didn't agree with their views and who also threatened their Catholic faith. For instance, in 1685, the Sun King removed the protection from the Edict of Nantes on French Protestants, known as Huguenots, and made them targets of persecution, forcing 100,000 to flee and hurting the economy. Despite threats of imprisonment and exile, French Enlightenment thinkers, known as philosophes, met, debated, and published volumes of work on the human condition. They wrote about government and societal reforms and debated natural rights. Much of this expansion credit should be given to noble and middle-class women, who opened up their homes to allow thinkers, artists, writers, and musicians of the 1700s a place to freely express their works. These gatherings were known as salons, enabling a social network to spread of Enlightenment thinkers. It also put women like Germaine de Staël and Madame Geoffrin in the center of the developing revolution. The philosophes contributed a large influence on our modern views of government and the fighting of absolutism. Baron de Montesquieu argued in his work, The Spirit of the Laws, that the best way to keep liberty was to create separate branches of government. In using multiple branches filled with ambitious leaders, you would check the other branches filled with ambitious leaders. In his work, The Social Contract, Jean-Jacques Rousseau placed his faith in a government selected by the will of the people, one that would best serve the needs of the community over individual political interests like those found in oppressive governments. A people's government would put less control over the people and trust in the goodness of the voters to elect decent leaders. In 1751, Denis Diderot gathered the writings, salon speeches, and topics of the conflicts of the day and published them into a 28-volume Encyclopedia of Reason, which was to be used as a guidebook for enlightened thinkers. The articles inside tacked the immoral actions of the day like slavery, unequal education, and censorship. Royal and church authorities tried to ban the book, even threatening those who purchased it with excommunication and/or prison. Probably the most famous and outspoken French thinker who fought these actions was Voltaire. Voltaire, or François-Marie Arat, used his books like Candide to directly attack the aristocracy and the church. He wrote frequent humor-filled papers and letters that called out hypocrisy and shamed the absolute. He once said, "Those who can make you believe absurdities can also make you commit atrocities." He was jailed, he was exiled, his books were burned, but he was never silenced.